That's exactly what he is. Feel like we're in church.
Definitely don't feel like church.
Definitely don't feel like church. Yeah, just jump on top.
You got the shoes on.
Yeah, you got the hard toes.
Hard bottom.
The socks I got on. Black George.
Kick off the church shoe. Yeah, my church socks.
Take this big Bible and read one scripture out of it. You just preach that one scripture.
Oh!
Yahuwah.
Make sure y'all look.
Ready. I felt my heart drop.
We was trying to see if y'all was gonna be able to hit the last day.
Oh, no.
All minds clear? This is Deuteronomy, or Devarim, chapter 6, and verse 4. Hear, O Yisrael, Yahuwah our Elohim, Yahuwah is one. Shema Yisrael,
Shema Yisrael.
Yahuwah Eloheinu,
Yahuwah Eloheinu.
Yahuwah Echad.
Yahuwah Echad.
This is Exodus, or Shemot, chapter 20, at verse 3. We will have no other mighty ones.
We will have no other mighty ones.
Against the Most High.
Against the Most High.
We will not make any carved image.
We will not make any carved image.
Or any likeness.
Or any likeness.
Of that which is in Shamayim above.
Of that which is in Shamayim above.
Or which is in the earth beneath.
Or which is in the earth beneath.
Or which is in the waters under the earth.
Or which is in the waters under the earth.
We will not bow down to them.
We will not bow down to them.
Nor serve them.
Nor serve
For
them.
Yahuwah
For Yahuwah
jealous
is a jealous hell.
visiting the wickedness.
Visiting the
Of the
wickedness.
fathers on the children.
Of the fathers on the
To
children.
the third and fourth generation.
To the third and fourth generation.
Of those that hate him.
Of those that hate him.
Showing kindness.
Showing kindness.
To thousands of those.
To thousands of
Who
those
love him.
who love him.
Keep his commandments.
And keep his commandments.
We will not bring the name.
We will not bring the name
Yahuwah
Yahuwah
to nothing.
to nothing.
For Yahuwah
For Yahuwah
will not leave us unpunished.
will not leave us unpunished.
Who brings his name to nothing.
Who brings his name to nothing.
We will remember the Shabbat day.
We will remember the Shabbat day.
Keep it Kodesh.
To keep it Kodesh.
6 days we will labor.
6 days we will labor.
And do all our work.
And do all our work.
But the seventh day
But the seventh day
is the Shabbat.
is the Shabbat.
Yahuwah.
Yahuwah.
For in 6 days,
For in 6 days,
Yahuwah made Shamayim.
Yahuwah made Shamayim.
And the earth.
And the earth.
And the sea.
And the sea.
And all that is in them.
And all that is in them.
And rested the seventh day.
And rested the seventh day.
Therefore Yahuwah barak the Shabbat day.
Therefore, Yahuwah barak the Shabbat
We
day.
will respect our fathers.
We will respect our fathers
And our mothers.
and our mothers.
That our days are long.
So that our days are long
On the earth.
on the earth.
We will not murder.
We will not
We
murder.
will not commit adultery.
We will not commit adultery.
We will not steal.
We will not steal.
We will not bear false witness
We will not bear false witness
against our neighbor.
against our
We
neighbor.
will not covet
We will not covet
anything.
anything
That is our neighbor.
that is our neighbor.
Father, Yahweh, we stand before you, Father, with one heart, one mind, one mouth, Father, on one accord, Father, asking that you will remove anything amongst the assembly that is unlike you, Father, that you would purge us, Father, and make us whole and make us clean, Father. Give us a clean heart and renew in us a right ruach, Father. We pray and ask, Father, that on this day, Father, you would look upon your people and hear our words and accept our petition, Father. That you would edify your people, Father, according to your word, Father. That your word will proceed forth without obstacle or hindrance, Father. That you will give utterance unto the speaker and understanding unto the hearer, so that we all may be doers of your word. We pray for any soul that is in transit, Father, to allow them to make it here safely, and that we all would fellowship and be gathered together, Father, in your name's sake, for your name's sake, Father. And that you would be in the midst, Father, right now. All these things we pray and we give thanks. So be it.
So be it.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. God, to go around, my brother.
Back door.
Student writer.
I'm trying to hold on the phone for like
Who you are?
Wow. All right. Shalom, everybody. We decided to finally come out of the time where our praise and worship. And we're back, willing and ready to do some things. Now, we have a song that I heard. I want us to heard his words right quick. I'm going to give them to you. Once you learn the words, I'm going to show you how to say it. And then we're going to do the song, all right? Okay, the words are, by the hand of the Almighty, I've been set free. Healed, delivered, made complete. Now I'm walking in victory. That's something else when we do it again. By the hands of the Almighty, I've been set free. Healed, delivered, made complete. Now I'm walking in victory. Can I get everybody to try to say it? By the hands of the Almighty, I've been set free. Healed, delivered, made complete. Now I'm walking in victory. Let's try it again. By the hands of the Almighty, I've been set free. Healed, delivered, made complete. Now I'm walking in victory. If anybody can't get up, I'm really walking in victory. Walking in victory. What's the fuck? You can get up, all right? All the words sound like a follow lead. Whatever I say, y'all say. Whatever I say, I'll say it. All right? By the hand of the Almighty, I've been set free. You delivered me from sin. I'm walking in victory. By the hand of the Almighty, I've been set free. You delivered me from sin. I'm walking in victory. Everybody say y'all. By the hand of the Almighty, I've been set free. Now I'm walking in victory. Again. By the hands of the Almighty, I've been set free. Now I'm walking in victory. Now I'm going to walk in victory. When I'm walking in victory, walking in victory. Walking in victory. Walking in victory. Let all that walking in victory. Walking in victory. Walking in victory. Walking in And I'm walking in victory. I'm walking in victory. I'm walking in victory. I'm all for that. I'm walking in victory. Walking in victory. Walking in victory. Come on. Come on. Walking in victory.
The world sometimes don't understand us.
That's praise and worship. Right?
What we have is much more than they can see. And we're walking in victory today.
Right.
Hallelujah! 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 Come on, come on. The song says, every praise. I feel good now. Hallelujah! Woo! All right. Always wanted to freestyle in there. I'll try it. Where you at? Come on. Come on. We come to play today, right? What up?
Oh, you put it this way.
Okay. I give a call. Yeah. Oh, that's about it. Okay. We got Sugar over here. Okay. Come on. Whose house? God's house. When I say whose house, y'all say God's house. Real confident. Whose house? Whose house? Whose house? Whose house? One. Wait for this guy.
Hallelujah. Oh man. Now y'all got precepts too. Oh, shit. Hallelujah.
I need some money.
Hallelujah.
I need some money. Somebody get that boy a cup of wine.
I know why.
Oh, you some water. Get that boy some water. He didn't say I ain't. He said Mike. Can we get some waters up front?
I got
y'all.
Also, for internet purposes, if anyone have a question for the ops during the teaching, a lot of people online are asking what was the question. So if you have a question, I'm gonna have this mic set up. Kindly walk to the mic, wait for the ops to acknowledge you and then ask your question, just so the people on the internet can hear what the question was.
Hallelujah.
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 Wait. That was some praise and worship, huh?
Indeed. Indeed.
Y'all ready to eat? I ain't talking about the food in the back.
Preacher, preach. Let the
I ain't
preacher
talking
preach.
about the food in the back. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by
every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the living God.
Somebody know their word. Somebody know their word. So there's a couple questions asked. If we could expound on a couple things. I think one of the questions was hold on, let me see. One of the questions that was posed was about the law, right? The law. Which laws are more important right now? Which laws are to be kept? Which laws don't apply to us? That type of thing, right? The reason why I posted those lessons in the inbox was to answer that particular question. So if anybody got any questions about the law just in its basis, you know what I'm saying? What laws are to be kept right now? What laws are important for today's time? Quab did a series on the law. So you got what is the law? I think that was one of them, or something to that effect. Then you had one that was what are the functions of the law? And then there was another one. But I posted those in the
we are to keep the law.
Yeah.
The breaking of the law and the functions of the law.
We are to keep the law, the breaking of the law, and the functions of the law. So if you go into those, you'll be able to see this stuff clearly. I think you go into a lot of the stuff that Paul was saying, and you know how people misinterpret Paul and this, that, and the third. So that's good meat to go and chew on. Good meat and good milk in there. Another question was about the Most High said, I'm gonna read it verbatim. Read it verbatim. Man, I'm trying to come down from this spiritual high from praise and worship. You know what I'm saying? If I take a little minute, you know what it's from. All right, so we had. It says, we've disappointed Yah so much. Can we ever be pleasing to him where he's happy to call us his own? Even in this day and time, can we 100% please the Most High? What y'all think? 100%. Can we 100% please the Most High?
No, I think so.
You got no? All yeses, raise your hand. Okay. All the no's, raise your hand. 100% please the Most High. Okay. Somebody who said yes. Can you tell me why? No, not you, you cheat. Because he said what now? He said, be you perfect, for I am perfect. So does that mean that you can 100% please him? Abraham did? Okay. What about no's? People said no. Why can't we 100% please y'all?
Well, that was the whole reason for the Messiah coming, so that we can be complete. Without the Messiah, that we wouldn't even be close to it. So the Messiah, he still has to, he know that we still will come short for the glory, but you know, we got to continue to strive forward.
So because he haven't came yet, we still fall short, so we can't 100% please the Most High.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay. Two ideologies. What you got out?
I say yes, because like the Day of Atonement, when you do the Day of Atonement, you get a fresh start with plus. Right. So with that idea, I say yes.
Okay. So with the Day of Atonement, brother said with the Day of Atonement, we get a fresh start. You 100%. We can please Yah from that point. Okay. What you got?
I say yes because in Hamashiach, he is what makes us fall short. But repentance is coming, and our belief in him, along with the other God's commands, that constantly fear no man, No righteous man that walks the earth never falling short. David fell short, but still was considered perfect. So how could he be considered perfect when he broke some of the major commands, like adultery, covetousness, and things like that, and still he was considered one of God's favorites. So I say yes, in Mashiach, he could.
We could be perfect in the ship.
Be perfect in Mashiach, not ourselves.
One more. Says whose righteousness? Our righteousness. What about his righteousness? Yep. What if we don't take on our own righteousness, but his righteousness? Are we still those filthy rags? We wouldn't be. But that's a true statement, because a lot of people deal with our own righteousness, right? What we deem is right. Hold on, I'll let you know. Go ahead.
Jesus Christ, the only one that kept the law perfectly. So every man, we supposed to strive to be perfect. Now, when he said he's perfect like him, that means that's our goal. Strive to be perfect. Not to settle for, oh, I'm not perfect. You know, we're supposed to strive to be that way. But it's clear that every man is not perfect. That's why every one of the disciples who made up the apostles, they made mistakes. Including, you look at President Abraham, and the angels, when they told him that he was going to have a son, and he had Ishmael, went on ahead and had Ishmael because he doubted this. He didn't have a baby, like he was, like, you know, and his wife's maid servant had a baby. So all of them fall short. Even Moses also did, you know, but the whole objective was to be perfect.
Okay, I got you. Man, I don't know about letting you answer. Go ahead, B. Go ahead.
So the question was, can we 100% please the Most High?
Can we 100% please the Most High?
Okay, so the scriptures say that without faith, it's impossible to please the Most High. And we must diligently seek. Because you believe, you got to believe that He is, and diligently seek. So our diligence in seeking is what pleases Him. The fact that so I absolutely believe that we can please Him because we are diligently seeking to please Him.
Okay.
Our faith allows us to please the Most High.
I like it. That's why I want you to answer.
Oh, okay.
All right, one last one.
So sin came in the world through one man.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
And the Most High has to have Yahusha do everything that He does until all enemies are trampled under His feet. Correct?
Yes.
Being in this fleshly state, we can still die. Therefore, that is not pleasing to the Most High.
No,
it's our flesh.
No,
the fact that we are flesh is not pleasing to Him.
The fact that we're flesh,
and things are going to come into our brain that we can't control, and things are going to be outside that's going to distract us. That's going to be able to stray us off our path. The fact that we are, completely rooted yet.
Okay, so we got basically what the brother just said. For y'all who didn't hear him, because we in this flesh, we can't please the Most High because it's things that come into our mind, right? Come into our mental that may not, roll with what the Most High is saying, right? So we gonna answer this in this lesson, right? The title of this is called "My People Perish for Lack of Knowledge." Right? What's perishing? What is that? To die. That's just plain and simple. There's nothing else to compare, right? But let's get into it. A very important part of pleasing the Most High is to know Him, right? You got a mate. In order to make sure that you please your mate, you have to know what it takes to please them, right? So if you don't know this person and y'all jump in the sack, y'all get married, you know what I'm saying? And you don't know them, you don't get to know them, it will be impossible to please them because you don't know how they think. You don't know how they act. You don't understand their inner workings, right? But if you take the time to get to know a person, then you'll be able to please them in the way that they should be pleased, right? Same thing with the Most High. So now we have to figure out if we can 100%. 100% means that there is no lack, there is no fail, there's complete 100%. Can we please the Most High? That's what we're gonna figure out. All right. Isaiah 8:20. Isaiah 8 and 20. Isaiah 8 and 20.
Isaiah chapter 8 and verse 20. To the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them.
Okay. He said to the law and to the what?
Testament.
To the testimony. If they speak not according to this word, that means that there is no light in them, right? What is the law? What is the law? It's the way. It's the instructions. Where do you find them? The Torah. The law and the testimony. What is the testimony? Deals with the Ark of the Covenant. Okay.
Well, between the Ark of the Covenant.
Between the Ark of the Covenant. What else? What is a testimony? What is a testimony?
Testimony is,
Matter of fact, where can you find the testimony?
Proclamation of truth.
It's a proclamation of truth. You can find it where?
And the New Testament.
In the law.
That too.
Both of the law and the testimony you can find in the law and in the prophets, right? I want
to testifying about something.
I want to read y'all this this definition of testimony. It says a formal written or spoken testament, especially one given in a court of law, right? Evidence or proof provided by the existence or appearance of something. Evidence or proof provided by the existence or the appearance of something. So the testimony will be proof that's provided for the evidence or existence of something. Or in this case, someone. Right? What all this got to do with what we're talking about, we'll figure it out in a second. So, Hosea chapter 12, verse 10. Hosea 12 and 10.
Hosea chapter 12, verse 10. I have also spoken by the prophets.
I have spoken by the what?
The prophets.
I have spoken by the prophets.
And have multiplied visions.
And have multiplied
visions.
And have multiplied visions. Read.
And use similitudes.
And use what?
Similitudes.
And use similitudes. What are similitudes? Something that is like, right? Something that is pertaining to, right? An example, right? Read.
By the ministry of the prophets.
By the who?
Ministry of the prophets.
By the ministry of the prophets, he gave you similitudes, right? Through their ministry, we have testimony. Their testimony is to show you the existence of something or evidence of something, right? How does he speak to the prophets? Face to face. How does he speak to the prophets? Numbers chapter 12. How does he speak to the prophets? Remember, he says to the law and to the testimony, right? Then he says that he give you similitudes through the prophets. He said he's multiplied visions. Go ahead. Numbers chapter 12, verse 6.
Numbers chapter 12, verse 6. And he said, hear now my words.
Hear now who?
My words.
Who's speaking? It's Most High, right? Read.
If there be a prophet among you.
If there be what?
A prophet among you.
Then what?
I, Yahuwah, will make myself known unto him in a vision.
I'll make myself known unto him in a what?
In a vision.
If it's a prophet among you, I'm going to make myself known to him in a vision. So when the prophets are prophesying, it's because he came to them with a what? Vision, right? Read.
And I will speak unto him in a dream.
And I'll speak to him in a dream, right? To the law and to the testimony. So we understand that this testimony has something to do with the prophets, right? Revelations 19 and 10. Moses was a prophet, yes? You got all of these people, Joshua. You got all of these people who prophesied, Ezekiel, Daniel, right? Hosea.
But I don't know. In verse 7, it says, my servant Moses is not so, who is faithful in all my house. But him will I speak mouth to mouth, even handling, and not in dark speeches. And the similitude of the Lord shall he behold. Wherefore then were you not afraid to speak against my servant Moses?
So Moses was different.
You were different.
Moses was a prophet of prophets or something. You know what I'm saying? If you would say, he came to him and he was like, look, Moses, this is this. He didn't speak to him in dark sayings. He didn't put a parable in front of Moses. He didn't tell Moses, hey, well, the rock skips 5 inches down the road. This and that. Figure out what, no, none of that. Yo, it's about to happen, Moses. This is what it is, Moses. He showed Moses his similitude, right? So Moses was a little different, just like what Quad went over 2 weeks ago, right? Moses was actually a picture of what you were supposed to be seeing with Mashiach, right? That's why the people were supposed to listen to him, right? So, but with these other prophets, they were visions, they were dreams when he came to him, right? The word of the Most High came to him and said, all right? Revelations 19:10. So the prophets were prophesying and giving testimony, right? But what is that? Revelations 19:10.
Revelation chapter 19, verse 10. And I fell at his feet to worship him. And he said unto me, see that thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren that have the testimony of
the what?
Testimony of Yahushua.
He said that I got the testimony of Yahushua, right? I got the testimony. I'm the one who got the testimony, right? I'm just one of the other brothers that got the testimony, right? Read.
Worship Elohim, for the testimony of Yahushua is the spirit of prophecy.
The testimony of Mashiach is the what now?
The spirit of prophecy.
The testimony of Mashiach is the spirit of prophecy. So whenever, this is how, you know, the Pharisees knew of a Messiah, how the Sadducees knew, how the people knew, because the prophecies that they were reading, they understood that this was about somebody that was to come. This was a testimony of somebody to come, their Savior to come, right? What they did with that information was on them, whether they believed it or they forbade it, right? But prophecy, according to this, is, the testimony of Mashiach is the Ruach of prophecy. You clear? So he says, to the law and to the testimony. So to the law, first 5 books, and to the testimony, the bringing of Mashiach, the preaching of Mashiach before Mashiach even came. This is why we've been talking about the Gospels come from the Tanakh. The Gospel don't come from Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. It comes from this part. All the prophecies is him, right? So now he says, to the law and to the testimony. We know the testimony is about Mashiach, right? Then he said that he multiplied visions for the prophets, right? Okay. Get Proverbs 29:18. Matter of fact, before you get that, get 1 Corinthians 18. 1 Corinthians 1:18. 1 Corinthians 1:18. You know what people say? Y'all preach about the Messiah so much. Why do people got to talk about the Messiah so much? Why can't y'all bring up practical stuff? Why can't y'all bring up current events? Why can't y'all talk about this and that? Because none of that stuff mean nothing.
Right.
Everything that the prophet's been telling you about was about him. Why are we gonna change the game up?
So we should watch Alex Jones.
We definitely shouldn't watch Alex.
Boy, still come on.
You know what I'm saying? All of this stuff that everybody wants us to talk about and deal with means absolutely nothing because it won't get you nowhere. We're going to see that, right? 1 Corinthians 18. 1 Corinthians 1:18.
1 Corinthians chapter 1, 18. For the preaching of the cross.
For the preaching of what?
For the preaching of the cross.
That's the gospel, right? For the preaching of the cross is what?
Is to them that perish.
To them that who?
That perish.
It says, my people are destroyed. My people are perished for a what?
Lack of knowledge.
Lack of knowledge. He said, read that again.
For the preaching of the state is to them that perish foolishness.
So to the people that perish, this is foolishness to them. Preaching about Mashiach over and over and over again, trying to instill that he is here. I mean, that he came, he exists, right? What you got to do to show that you love him, to them is foolish because it has nothing to do with nation building. It has nothing to do with building us back up as a people. It has nothing to do with how to survive in the last days, or it has nothing to do with how to build an underground bunker, or you know what I'm saying? So these people that's going to perish, it's foolishness to keep preaching about Mashiach. We don't need to fall in that category. Every time I get up here, I know my brothers do the same. You're going to hear something about Mashiach. He said, I come in the volume of the what? Right? All right, so read that again.
For the preaching of the state is to them that perish foolishness, but unto us which are saved, it is the power of Elohim.
It's the power of the Most High when we preach the state, right? My people perish for a lack of what?
Knowledge.
I want y'all to bury that in your mind. It said the people that don't want to hear this stuff perish. All right. Jump over to Proverbs chapter 29. So, to the law and to the testimony. Testimony came through the prophets. The Most High showed his prophets, his stuff through what? Visions, right? Proverbs 29:18.
Proverbs chapter 29 and verse 18. Where there is no vision.
But there's what?
There is no vision.
What's the vision? What is the visions? What are these? Prophecies. Where there's no vision, what happens?
The people perish.
The people what?
The people perish.
So when you're not learning about Mashiach, you're setting the people up to do what? Perish. Because this is what the prophets came to bring you the whole time. Well, there's no vision, the people perish. So if you don't consistently hear about Mashiach, if people not coming out the book showing you about the Messiah, how to correct these wrongs, how to live your life in subjection to him, the people are going to perish. Make sense? Hosea 4:6. One of the reasons why you don't hear about Mashiach all the time when you listen to these other camps is because it's nothing to glory in. If I talk to you about how many people I brought in, if I talk to you about how many people I done baptized, if I talk to you about how many buildings we done got and how much this and that, I get to glory in that. And then I give fake humbleness or fake meekness to the Most High and say, hey man, the Most High provided me all this. But I'm continuously telling you how much, what I did. Oh yeah, but the Most High. Preaching the gospel ain't nothing to glory in because it's never about you. Always about Mashiach.
You know, that's why fluids hovering beneath the surface. You don't get right.
All right. Hosea 4:6.
Hosea chapter 4 verse 6. My people are destroyed.
My people are what?
Destroyed for lack of knowledge.
Who got the hallelujah? What Hosea 4:6 saying?
My people have perished for the lack of knowledge.
For the lack of who?
For lack of knowledge.
For lack of knowledge. right? Now he told you that without vision, the people perish. Right? So what is he actually telling you? What are the visions? The knowledge. Without the vision, which is the knowledge, the people do what?
Perish.
So what's the knowledge he telling you about right here? It's Mashiach. That's the law, it's the law, it's the law, it's the law. He's in the law, but we're going to see something here. Yeah, absolutely. He said, without knowledge, my people perish, right? Read.
But my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge.
They perish for a lack of knowledge. So when you ain't got Mashiach in your congregation being preached to you all the time, the people going to do what?
Perish.
Read.
Because thou hast rejected.
Because you did what?
Rejected.
Because you rejected it.
Yeah.
When you reject Mashiach, you're going to die. That's the book. We're going to see a little bit more though. He said, my people perish for a lack of knowledge because you do what?
Reject knowledge.
Keep reading.
I will also reject you.
I will do what?
Reject you.
So if you reject knowledge, which is who? The Father said he going to do what?
Reject you.
Ain't that a common understanding that we see in the New Testament? If you deny the Son, then you deny the Father. The prophets came and brought you the visions. They brought you the knowledge of Mashiach. But if you reject the knowledge that the prophets gave you, because he said, you are of them that killed the what? You the people that killed the people that told that was coming to tell you about my son. Right? So let's not look at this just on the surface of us not knowing the law. Because the people, Hosea, what Hosea tell you? Get Hosea 1:1. This ain't about them not knowing the law. Because we have to understand where Hosea was at the time where he said this. So people were rejecting Mashiach long before he came on the scene. It's nothing new
under the sun.
Hosea 1:1. Where was Hosea at?
Hosea chapter 1:1. The word of Yahuwah came to Hosea, the son of Berai, in the days of Uzziah, Jonathan, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, king of Judah. And in those days, Jeroboam, the son of Joash, king of Israel.
King of what?
King of Israel.
So the word of the Most High came to Hosea amongst who? What kings? Kings of Israel and Judah. This ain't outside the land. This ain't none of that. This is right here. They understood what the law was supposed to be about. So them not having the knowledge has nothing to do with them not knowing the law. But if you reject the knowledge, then you will be rejecting the what? This is why the law can't save you alone. Go back to Hosea 4:6 so we can finish that verse out.
Hosea chapter 4, verse 6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, because you have rejected knowledge. I will also reject you, that you shall be no priest to me.
That you shall be no what?
No priest to me.
He told you, I raised you up to be a nation of what?
Priests. Kings and priests.
He wanted us to be a nation of priests. But you rejected the knowledge. You rejected my son. Well before he even got on the scene. Right? Who was coming to these people in these visions? Mashiach was. Hey man, this really about me. You know what I'm saying? Go tell the people, blah, 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 blah. Yo, this really about him, blah, 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 blah. Ah, man, go somewhere. Then they die. Right? But let's continue to look into this knowledge thing, right? Matter of fact, before we go there, because a lot of people try to make it seem like knowledge and wisdom is the same thing, and it's that third, blah, 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 blah. Right? What is our wisdom? What did the scriptures tell us our wisdom is?
Torah.
Torah. Deuteronomy chapter 4. Get that clear right quick. Deuteronomy chapter 4. Y'all still with me?
Mm-hmm.
Deuteronomy chapter 4. Pick it up at verse Oops, that's numbers. Pick it up at verse, I want to say 6.
It is.
6. Matter of fact, start at verse 5.
Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 5. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as Yahuwah my Elohim commanded me, that you should do so in the land whether you go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom.
For what?
But this is your wisdom.
Keeping the commandments and doing them. That's your wisdom. Wisdom and knowledge are not the same things. Can they go hand in hand? Yes. Just like the law and the testimony can. But they're not the same thing. Go ahead.
Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding.
Where?
In the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is wise and understanding people.
So because we keep the laws, they're going to say this is a great nation, wise, understanding. What else they going to say?
For what nation is there so great, who have Elohim so nigh unto them?
Whoa. So all in all, them saying that we are a great nation because we keep the commandments was to give glory or esteem to who? The Father, right? So when stuff happened bad in the Israelite community, like the stuff everybody been talking about, right? We're worried about the image of who? Of the nation. Yeah. These people gonna look at the children of Israel crazy. They're gonna look at us like we this and that, and everybody who say that they're Israelite is gonna be like this, and it's gonna be like. Nobody sat back and thought to think, well, what are they gonna say about the Most High? What are they gonna say about the God that you serve? Because your flesh is something to glory in. But obviously, when he told you that your esteem was supposed to be that you know him, that ain't enough for us. Right? So he says, keep therefore and do them. This is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely that great nation is a wise and understanding people. For what nation is there so great, which Elohim have so near to them, as Yahuwah your Elohim in all things that we call upon him for? Right? So let's look at something. Proverbs chapter 1, verse 1. So let's see what the law is supposed to do for you. 1 and 1. Let's go into this Proverbs, real simple, real smooth, and we're going to see what the law is supposed to do for you. What is it supposed to, what is it a gain? What gain is it for you when dealing with the law?
Proverbs chapter 1 and verse 1. Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, king of Israel, to know wisdom.
To know who?
To know wisdom.
What is wisdom?
Keeping
the Torah, right? Keeping the Torah. Read.
And instruction.
And what?
And instruction.
What's another word for law? Instructions, right? Okay. So it's to know wisdom and instruction to do what?
To perceive the words of understanding.
Perceive the words of understanding. Go ahead.
To receive the instructions of wisdom, justice, and judgment, and equity.
This is what the law is supposed to do for you, right? Read.
To give subtlety to the simple, to the young man knowledge and discretion.
Go ahead.
A wise man will hear.
And do what?
And will increase learning.
A wise man is going to hear it and do what?
Increase learning.
A lot of people not trying to actually hear the word. He said, faith come by hearing, and hearing by word. Now, how in the world am I supposed to gather my faith up if I never hear him preach to me? You ain't got to go and study with nobody, brother. Don't worry about that. Read the book for yourself. You good. How? When he sent laborers out in the world to actually give it to you. Faith come by what? Hearing. Not saying that your faith can't be builded when you reading it, but that's what he told you it come by. Somebody have to bring this to you. Right? Go ahead.
A wise man will hear and will increase learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsels.
He gonna attain to who?
Wise counsels.
The reason he gonna attain to wise counsels is because he's going back and he's reading through the law. Read.
To understand a proverb.
To understand a what?
A proverb.
What is a proverb? A proverb. A dark saying, right? A parable, right? The only way that you can understand the parables is if you know what?
The Torah.
The Torah. Read.
To understand a proverb and to interpretation.
And the what?
Interpretation.
And interpretation.
And the interpretation.
And the interpretation. How many interpretations is it? One. How many doctrines is it?
50,000.
That's because somebody ain't going back and reading through what?
The law.
The law. Somebody's not paying attention to the prophets. Somebody's not getting the knowledge. So therefore, that person and the people that they're leading are going to do what?
Die.
They're going to perish.
He read.
To understand a proverb and the interpretation, the word of the wise and their dark sayings.
And their who?
Dark sayings.
Uh-huh.
The fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of knowledge.
The fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of what?
Knowledge.
Okay, let's see something. Drop down to verse 20. Yeah, verse 20.
We're just going to read this through. We're going to hit a couple scriptures after that. I just want to read this through real quick.
Proverbs 1 and 20.
Yeah.
Wisdom crieth without, she uttereth her voice in the streets.
What was that wisdom?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
She crieth in the chief place of the concourse, in the opening of the gates, in the city she uttereth her words, saying, how long, you simple ones, will you love simplicity, and the scorners delight in their scorning, and fools hate knowledge.
Fools do what?
Hate knowledge.
Fools hate knowledge. I wonder who Mashiach was saying hate him when he was on the scenes. Pharisees, something. People who claim that they knew the law, right? Said, but you hate me. Scripture says, a fool says in his heart that there is what?
No God.
There is no God. I wonder who the children of Israel's God is. Who is their actual God? Who is the God of the children of Israel?
Mashiach.
Mashiach is. Not the Most High. They're like, hold on, wait a minute.
I'm gonna say clear
What's going on? We're gonna get an example in the old. We're gonna get an example in the new. Go to Matthew chapter 4. Matthew chapter 4. We're gonna pick it up at verse. Let's pick it up at verse 4, verse 3.
Matthew chapter 4 and verse 3. And when the tempter came to him, he said, if you be the son of Elohim, command that these stones be made bread. But he answered and said, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of Elohim.
He said, what now?
Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of Elohim.
So the devil tempting him, right? He like, you got to listen to every word that proceeds out of the Most High, right? Read.
Then the devil taketh him up to the Kodesh city, and setteth him on a pinnacle of the temple, and said unto him, if you be the son of Elohim, cast thyself down.
Cast who?
Cast yourself down.
Ask the Father to cast you down.
Cast yourself down.
Who was he tempting? He's tempting Mashiach, yes? Said, cast yourself down and what?
For it is written, he shall give his Malachim's charge concerning thee, and their hands they shall bear you up, lest at any time thou dash thy foot against a stone.
So he's trying to tempt Mashiach right here, right? Yo, bring yourself down from here, right? Read.
Who should say unto him, it is written again, thou shalt not tempt the master, your Elohim.
Whoa. Y'all caught that? What'd he say? Your Elohim.
And who he tempting right here?
He's tempting Mashiach. Mashiach say, it's written, you ain't supposed to tempt Yahuwah your Elohim. Whoa. He telling you he the guy. Right? Make sense? Let's go back. Deuteronomy. Chapter 6. Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 1.
Deuteronomy chapter 6 and verse 1. Now these are the commandments, the statutes, and the judgments which Yahuwah your Elohim commanded to teach you, that ye might do them in the land whither you go to possess it, that thou mightest fear Yahuwah your Elohim.
Stop. Y'all catch that? No? Let's read it over. Who taught Moses on the mountain? Okay. Read.
Now these are the commandments, the statutes, and the judgments which Yahuwah your Elohim commanded to teach you.
Yahuwah your Elohim commanded him to teach this to you. Make sense? Okay. You read.
That you might do them in the land whether you go to possess it.
That you might do what? Okay. Verse 2.
That thou mightest fear Yahuwah your Elohim.
Why wouldn't he just say that you might fear me? One more time. Verse 1.
Now these are the commandments, the statutes, and the judgments which Yahuwah your Elohim commanded to teach you, that you might do them in the land whether you go to possess it.
He said that this is Yahuwah your Elohim coming to teach you. Telling you to fear who?
Who?
Telling you to fear Yahuwah.
Right.
Yahuwah is telling you to fear Yahuwah. I know it's like, what? Because it was how many of them in the Old Testament? It was 2 Yahuwahs in the Old Testament. One of them was your God, and the other one was his God. Yeah. He read.
That thou mightest fear Yahuwah your Elohim, to keep all his statutes and his commandments, which I command you.
With who?
I command you. Moses can't tell you this like this.
So you got to understand the duality in the text, right? A famous one that we go to, get Genesis 19. Yeah, we're going to get there. We're going to get there. Yeah, I got you. I got you. Get to Genesis 19, man. We're going to make it plain.
Genesis chapter 19, verse 24.
Go ahead.
Genesis chapter 19, verse 24. Then Yahuwah rained upon Sodom and upon Gomorrah, rain, brimstone, and fire.
So it says Yahuwah rained on Sodom and Gomorrah, fire. Read.
From
who?
From
what?
Yahuwah out of heaven.
Uh-oh. Y'all pick that up? Yahuwah rained fire down from Yahuwah. We're showing you that it's who? It's 2, right? Now we read this every day. Genesis 19. 24. Now what we about to go back to in Deuteronomy chapter 6 is something we read every Shabbat. But I want to see if y'all pick up on it. Go back to Deuteronomy chapter 6. Deuteronomy chapter 6.
Deuteronomy chapter 6 and verse 4. Hear, O Israel, Yahuwah, our Elohim, is one.
Yahuwah what?
Our Elohim is one Yahuwah.
Yahuwah, your Elohim is who?
One.
It's one Yahuwah. Together. Right?
What does the word one mean?
Hold on a second. I think we missed something. Read verse 3 right quick.
Verse 3
And that one means confederate or together.
means akkad.
Akkad, agreed.
Hear, therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with you, and that ye may increase mightily, as Yahuwah Elohim of thy fathers have promised thee, in the land that floweth with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, Yahuwah our Elohim is one Yahuwah.
They won. They agree. One is telling you that you need to follow the other one. Make sense? So the one that you deal with on a daily basis, that's your God. He got one that he deal with. That's his God. Right? Genesis 11 and 1. So when it says Yahuwah our Elohim is one. So a lot of people will say, well, that means it's just one of them. That's all it is, right? But that means they will have to answer for this. Genesis 11 and 1.
Genesis 11 and 1. And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech to Tower Babel.
So it says the whole earth was what?
One language, of one speech.
They were of one language and of one speech. Read.
And it came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar and dwelt there.
Why would it say that they were of one language and of one speech? Because they was together, right? You read.
And it came to pass as they journeyed from the east and they found a plain in the land of Shinar and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone and slime they for mortar. And they said, go to, let us build us a city and a tower whose top may reach unto Shamaim. Let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the earth.
Drop down to verse 6.
And Yahuwah said, behold, the people is one.
The people is what?
One.
Was it just one person? Thousands of people out there. But the people were what? One accord, in agreement. Just like Deuteronomy chapter 6 and verse 4. Yahuwah our Elohim is one. With the Father, it's one. Right? We got that together.
They're in complete agreement. Mashiach don't come back and say, well, maybe I should. It's complete agreement.
It's a unison, right? It's a oneness. Not just all. See, Yahuwah Elohim, that's he one Yahuwah. He told you he was only one by himself. Why would he have to say that? Unless he was telling you that he's in agreement with him, with his son. Exodus 23 and 20 again, that you went over 2 weeks ago. Let's just drive the point home. Exodus 23:20. Let's drive the point home.
Exodus chapter 23 and verse 20. Behold, I send a Malachim before you.
I send a Malachim before you, right? A messenger before you to do what?
To keep you in the way and to bring you into the place which I have prepared.
Yeah.
Beware of him and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions.
Who had the power to pardon your transgressions? Mashiach. Read.
For my name is in him.
My name is what?
In him.
My name is in him. Who he say his name was in? Anybody else? What's his name? Yahuwah. So it was two of them. My name is in this guy that's coming to lead y'all. That's prophecy, right? So I guess I wonder who it was talking about. Testimony of Mashiach is the Ruach of prophecy, right? But in order for you to know him, you got to know that. That's why the people are perishing for a lack of, because they're not paying attention to the prophets. Proverbs chapter 2. Matter of fact, who was that? We was in Proverbs 1. Let's finish off Proverbs 1 and then we get Proverbs 2. Proverbs 1. Verse 23.
Proverbs 1 and 23. Turn you at my reproof. Behold, I will pour out my spirit unto you. I will make known my words unto you, because I have called and you refused.
You refused his word. You rejected his word. Say it with me. Rejected. You rejected his word. You refused his word, right? Read.
Because I have called and you refused. I have stretched out my hand and no man regarded.
And what now?
No man regarded.
He said, I stretched out my hand to you and you didn't even regard it. Read.
But you have set at naught all my counsel and would none of my reproof.
What was the Pharisees doing when he was walking the earth? Rejecting him. Setting at nothing his counsel. Everything he was saying, they was combating it. Right? Read.
I also will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your fear cometh.
I'm gonna mock when your fear comes. Because I tried to tell you. What was the biggest lesson of 70 AD? Listening to Mashiach. Read.
I also will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your fear comes.
So all these things that these people is afraid of, all this stuff that these people is thinking is going to happen, this, that, and the third. This whole time I've been telling you to seek after me, but you would rather do your own diligence into what you want to deal with. This whole time I've been saying, get to know me, but you decide you want to do something else. The whole time I've been telling you to preach about me, but you decide you want to preach about something else. So now when your destruction comes, now you're going to try to come knocking on my door. When all this thing hit the fan, guess what you're going to be saying? Oh, that JC, he really is real. Read. Exactly. Read.
When your fear come as desolation and your destruction come as a whirlwind, when distress and anguish come upon you, then shall they call upon me.
And I will what?
And I will not answer.
This is Solomon writing this. I would just hope that this ain't Solomon saying he got this much power.
The answer first.
Read.
Then shall they call upon me, but I will not answer. They shall seek me early.
He said they shall do what?
Seek me early.
He said seek him early. You know what the problem is? A lot of people try to study the Bible before they read the Bible. Right? That makes sense? They try to study it before they read it. You can't even get into studying something without knowing what it's talking about. You have to understand the concepts before you study it. Right? But that's the problem. Nobody wants to read it. They want to go in and, oh, this right here. Oh, yeah, and this go with this right here. Hey, brother, what's the law? Oh, man, it's somewhere in there. Right?
Break that mystery down for me, so I can go and teach a lesson.
So I can go teach somebody else. They don't understand the concepts in the scriptures. The concepts come by reading. Isaiah 33:6. Hold what you got. Go to Isaiah 33:6. Matter of fact, yeah, go ahead.
Isaiah chapter 33:6. And wisdom and knowledge.
Wisdom and knowledge shall be what?
Shall be the stability of thy times.
Wisdom and knowledge going to be the stability of your time. Not trying to go down and break down the mysteries and the deep things. Got nothing to do with that. Read.
And the strength of salvation. The fear of Yahuwah is his treasure. Behold, their valiant ones shall cry without the ambassadors of peace.
That's good. That's good.
Let's go back to Proverbs 1. Verse 28.
Verse 28. Then shall they call upon me, but I will not answer. They shall seek me early, but they shall not find me. For they that hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of Yahuwah.
He said they hated knowledge and didn't choose the fear of him. We understand what the knowledge is, right? Okay, go ahead.
They would none of my counsel. They despised all my reproof. Therefore shall they eat of the fruit of their own way and be filled with their own devices. For the turning away of the simple shall slay them, and the prosperity of the fool shall destroy them. But whoso hearkeneth or listens unto me shall dwell safely.
When Mashiach told them to flee to the mountains, if they only had a listen, they would have what? Dwell safely. Just like right now. If you follow on to what he's saying, if you keep his commandments, then you're going to dwell safely. But if you're worried about what all these other people talking about that ain't got nothing to do with this type of knowledge right here, you're not going to be safe. Read.
For whoso listens unto me shall dwell safely and shall be quiet from fear of evil.
Chapter 2, verse 1.
Proverbs chapter 2 and verse 1. My son, if thou wilt receive my words and hide my commandments with you, so that thou incline thine ear unto wisdom.
So we understand that he's making that his commandments, right? Synonymous with wisdom again, right? So we know wisdom and knowledge ain't the same thing. Read.
So that thou incline thine ear unto wisdom and apply thine heart to understanding.
If you what? Keep going.
Yea, if thou criest after knowledge.
If you cry after knowledge.
And liftest up thy voice for understanding. If thou seekest her as silver and searchest for her as hid treasures.
Read.
Then shalt thou understand the fear of Yahuwah.
And what?
And find the knowledge of El.
You're going to find the knowledge of the Most High if you seek after the commandments. So I wonder who is talking about you finding. Mashiach.
Find the knowledge of Elohim.
So we got to understand that us knowing him is a great part of pleasing him. And the reason that we perish is because we don't know him. We don't seek out of the book of the Most High and do what? Read. We don't want to hear the gospel. We want to hear the deep stuff. You got the Most High is a God of war, a God of consolation, a God of long suffering, a God of patience, a God of love, a God of calamity, a God of, did I say long suffering? What's something else?
Wrath.
A God of wrath, a God of war. I did say war?
Judgment.
Judgment. There we go. Peace.
Mercy.
Mercy. Right? This would in turn give you the thought process that this is because this God is so complex, pleasing him would be what? Complex. What is the absolute opposite? Pleasing him is the most simple thing that you can do. He's a complex being and he requires simplicity from his believers. Want to see an example? Matthew chapter 19. Now, based on your faith, based on your belief, what's simple to the Most High may be hard for you. But it's based on your belief and your faith. So let's see. Matthew 19:19. 19:16. Start at 16.
Matthew chapter 19 and verse 16. And behold, one came and said unto him, Good master, what good thing shall I do that I may have eternal life? And he said unto him, Why callest thou me good? There is none good but one, that is Elohim. But if thou wilt enter into life, keep the commandments. He saith unto him.
Is that simple? Keeping the commandments, is that simple? We done been over enough. Is it simple? For some people, it may be hard. But for believers, it should be easy. Right? Read.
He saith unto him, which Yahushua said, thou shalt do no murder, thou shalt not commit adultery, you shall not steal, you shall not bear false witness, honor your father and your mother, and thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. The young man saith unto him, all these have I kept from my youth up. What lack I yet?
So what he been keeping?
The letter.
He been keeping the law. Can it save him though? What he say?
Yahushua saith unto him, if you will be perfect.
If you will be what?
Perfect. Go and sell that thou hast, and give unto the poor, and thou shalt have treasures in Shamaim, and come and follow me.
Who is that hard for?
Yeah, that's deep. That's deep.
Who is that hard for?
Rich.
If he came and told you right now, sell everything you got and go give it to the poor, would that be hard for you? Because he said, come and follow me. You're going to have treasures in Shamaim. Is it hard for you to do that? Rhetorical question. But think about this. If it is, and you would not follow him, or if you wouldn't sell all that you have to think of where your belief and where your faith is at this current moment. Right?
Yeah, just got all the red bottoms.
It's tax time. I bought me this new Ferrari. I got a Hellcat, man. You know what I'm saying?
Got the rollies, man. I don't know.
How would I get this up, right? But let's keep reading though. Is that simple to give it up though? Is that something very simple? Hey, just sell everything you got. Follow me.
You attached to it.
Is it simple? It's a simple thing on the surface. But if you're attached to those things, it's very complex. Right? Read.
But when the young man heard that saying, he went away sorrowful, for he had great possessions. Then said Yahushua unto his disciples, truly I say unto you, that a rich man shall hardly enter into the kingdom of Shamaim. And again I say unto you, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of Elohim.
Why?
Because his faith is attached to his riches.
Because his faith is attached to his stuff. The Most High gave me all this. Why would he want me to give it up? Because he told you to come and follow him. Matthew 24. You got that. Okay. Matthew 24. Pick it up at verse. Hold on one second.
That's why you're going to see there's so many people that's going to try to get you to not believe in this man. It's going to constantly happen. That's why all them little slick videos is out there for you to get curious. 6,000 things to show you the Messiah ain't real. It's all set up for you not to believe in this man. If you let your curiosity get you and you start watching that stuff, you're going to get off.
Matthew 24, verse 15.
Matthew chapter 24, verse 15. And when you therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the Kodesh place. Who readeth, let him understand.
So Daniel the prophet was prophesying about who? Mashiach, right? For Mashiach to come and tell you exactly what he's telling you right now. When the stuff Daniel said come to pass, do what?
Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains.
How easy is that? When you see the stuff coming, get out of here. Is that simple? Is it simple? What is it? Who is it simple to? The believers of what? The people who understand and believe in the vision, which receive and understand the knowledge. Because if they didn't understand the vision, which was the prophecy of Mashiach, they didn't understand that knowledge, then they are going to perish. If they rejected what he said right here, then they are going to perish. If I say, yo, if you see fire or smoke coming from that door at the exit, leave out the front. How hard is that? It's not hard. But if you like, but bro, I left my Jordans in that back closet. I gotta grab them right quick. It's only smoke. Right? So he says, flee to the mountains. Go ahead.
Let them which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house.
If you're on the house, he said, don't do what? Don't come back down. My watch collection is right in the living room. I can just go real quick. How hard is it not to come down? If you attach to your stuff, you won't.
Everybody thinking that they prized possessions.
Yeah. That's why the laugh is coming.
I just got all them wrap skirts.
Right.
All them hair wraps.
Right?
I'll say you got a backpack in the joint.
When it was time to leave out of Egypt, they had to get up and go. Loins girded. You only got enough that you can take for what you got. It's time to roll. Nah, leave that. You can't deal with that. Let's go. Right? If they didn't believe him, they would have stayed. Right?
My phone in there.
Oh, man.
My phone in the house.
That's the number one thing.
That's the number one thing. I got to go back and get my phone.
Yep.
It'll be just like Lot Wife. Dead.
But we got to understand, if we attach to this stuff, we can't please him. If we're attached to this stuff, we can't please him. If we don't know him, we can't please him. If we don't have his knowledge that came from the prophets, the vision that he gave the prophets, we can't please him. We're going to perish. Right? And that's what's wrong with what a lot of the quote-unquote Israelites and Israelite camps and everybody is trying to look for something deep as opposed to doing what he told you to do. Read this stuff and believe. Timothy. 1 Timothy. 2 Timothy. Chapter 3. 2 Timothy chapter 3. Pick it up at verse 7. B, get Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 12. You read what you got first, B. Ecclesiastes 12 and 12. And then we're going to jump over to 1 Timothy, 2 Timothy chapter 3.
Ecclesiastes 12 and 12?
12 and 12. B is going to Ecclesiastes 12 and 12. Quab is going to 2 Timothy 3 and 7.
Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and verse 12. And further, by these, my son, be admonished of making many books.
So there's a lot of books, right? Read.
There is no end.
There's no end to the making of book. It's books in here. It's books outside of here. It's a bunch of books, right? And what?
And much study is weariness of the flesh.
And much what?
Much study is weariness of the flesh.
Much study is weariness of the flesh, right? And that's what a lot of brothers do. Instead of reading to understand, they're trying to study something so they can pull out something deep in the scriptures, right? Read what you got. 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 17.
2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 7. Ever learning.
They're what?
Ever learning.
They're ever learning, but what?
And never able to come to the knowledge of the truth.
They're never able to come to the what?
Knowledge of the truth.
They can never come to the knowledge of the truth. Why? Because they're not seeking.
Not seeking the Most High.
All they trying to do is go in there and find the deep stuff so people can look at them and esteeming them. But they're ever learning, never coming to the knowledge of the truth. Which knowledge we understand is Mashiach.
So they climbing on a stairmaster, going nowhere.
Climbing on a stairmaster, going nowhere.
In one place, a treadmill running, but not moving nowhere.
Yep. You can't please him like that. You got to draw yourself near to the Most High. Where did he present himself to you at? Where did the Most High present himself to you at? In the scriptures. James 4 and 8. Let's get into pleasing the Most High. We understand that a lot of people reject the knowledge. If you reject the knowledge, if you reject Mashiach, you reject the prophecy of Mashiach, you can't get him. But if you read and understand the prophecy, you can start to please. James 4 and 8.
James chapter 4 and 8. Draw nigh to Elohim, and he will draw nigh to you.
If you draw near to him, he's going to draw near to you. Right? How simple is that? But it's hard if you always got something to do. But it's hard if something always come up. If you can never really get into your book to read it. Because your faith is attached to things as opposed to him. Right? Read.
Draw near to Elohim, and he will draw near to you. Cleanse your hands, you sinners, and purify your hearts, you double-minded.
So if you don't understand the knowledge of Mashiach, can you be sin-free? No. Without the faith of Mashiach, can you be sin-free? No. No. Because he said anything outside of faith is actually what? Sin. Right? Psalm 73:28. Psalms chapter 73, verse 28.
Psalm chapter 73 and verse 28.
So again, can you please the Most High 100%? Let's get into that a little bit. Now that we know we got to understand and receive the knowledge, let's see if we can actually please. Go ahead.
But it is good for me to draw near to Elohim.
It's good for you to do what?
Draw near to Elohim.
It's good to draw near to the Most High. Read.
I have put my trust in the Master Elohim, that I may declare all thy works.
That was it. Get Hebrews chapter 11.
got a couple more. Hebrews chapter 11, pick it up at verse 6.
Hebrews chapter 11 and verse 6. But without faith.
Without what?
Without faith.
That's what B was talking about. It says without faith is what?
It is impossible to please him.
It's impossible to please him. So if you have faith, real faith, not the faith that you just say is faith, so it's kind of faith. Real faith where you believe the words of this book and you follow them, right? If you got real faith, can you please him? Yes? Go ahead.
For he that cometh to Elohim must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seeks him.
What were you supposed to be seeking after, if I'm not mistaken? You're supposed to be seeking after something. Knowledge. Read that again.
But without faith it is impossible to please him. But he that cometh to Elohim must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him.
So we got to diligently seek after the knowledge so we can know him. Once we diligently seek and inquire of the knowledge of the Most High, now we can start to believe him. Now we understand him. Now we can please him. Right? Ephesians 5:1. I don't got that.
Ephesians 5, you said?
Ephesians chapter 5, verse 1.
Ephesians chapter 5, verse 1. Be ye therefore followers of Elohim as dear children, and walk in love, as Hamashiach also have loved us, and have given himself for us, an offering and a sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet smelling savor.
So he says, be a follower of Mashiach, of the Most High, right? Walk in love as Mashiach loved us, right? Verse 3.
But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becoming saints.
So fornication and all uncleanness concerning that, and covetousness shouldn't have nothing to do with you. If nobody can name this stuff among you, you're on your way to pleasing the Most High. Read.
But fornication and all uncleanness and covetousness, let it not be named among you as becometh saints, neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks. For this you know, that no whoremonger, nor unclean person, nor covetous man, who is an idolater, have an inheritance in the kingdom of Hamashiach and of Elohim. Let no man deceive you with vain words, for because all these things cometh the wrath of Elohim upon the children of disobedience. Be not ye therefore partakers with them.
It's that easy. Don't be partakers with these type of people. It's that easy.
But that's been my boy I grew up with.
It's that easy.
I don't care, man. She always loan me money anytime I need it.
It's only easy to a believer. It's only easy to a person whose faith outweighs a friendship. Because you can't take a hold onto these people and partake in the things that they partake in and do what these people do and still please the Most High. It's impossible. You got to pick one. Read.
Be not ye therefore partakers with them, for you were sometimes darkness.
But you were sometimes what?
But sometimes darkness.
For the law and the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, then there is what?
So when you didn't have the law and the testimony, you was in what? Darkness. He said you were sometimes in that darkness, right? Read.
For you were sometimes darkness, but now are ye light.
But now are you what?
Light.
And you got to walk as what?
In the master, walk as the children of light.
Mm-hmm.
For the fruit of the Spirit is in all goodness and righteousness and truth.
Doing what?
Proving that is acceptable unto the master.
So if it's acceptable unto the Most High, is it pleasing to the Most High? Yeah. Absolutely. Let's say in there. I'll read that, John.
Proving what is well pleasing to the master.
That's in the Hallelujah. So let's say proving what's acceptable in the KJV, but in the Hallelujah it says proving what is well pleasing to the Most High. Right? So we walking up what can please him. Romans 12:1.
Verse 11.
Go ahead.
Verse 11. And have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather reprove them.
But rather do what?
Reprove them.
Don't reprove them. Relax. You can do it too.
Mm-hmm.
He said, don't have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness. But when I say that to people, they get offended. You know why they get offended? Because that's my man's in there. We go back like 4 flats on a. These my people. But who's more important to you? Somebody that can save you in a fist fight, or somebody that can save you from damnation? Easy. Romans 12:1.
Romans chapter 12 and verse 1. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of Elohim, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice.
You present your bodies a what?
A living sacrifice.
What?
Kodesh, acceptable unto Elohim, which is your reasonable service.
So, if you present your body a living sacrifice, can you please the Most High? Because he said you got to be holy and acceptable. How do you do that? You do it through Mashiach. But what do you have to do to be holy and acceptable? The things that had to be holy and acceptable, like sacrifices, right? A sacrifice couldn't have what on it? Blemish. Couldn't have a broken bone. Right? Now, let me ask y'all a question. Is it hard not to have a blemish?
Very hard not to have.
If it's hard, raise your hand.
I'm confused.
Is it hard not to have a blemish? Don't answer what you think I'm going to say. Just answer.
We're sitting there with his poker face
it's hard not to have a blemish.
Is it hard not to have a blemish, a stain, a
That could be breaking the law, not
breaking the law, right?
Fruit of the spirit, anything.
Not having the fruits of the Ruach, right? Is it hard not to have a blemish? Now, who is it hard for? Somebody that don't have the knowledge, somebody that don't believe. Somebody that doesn't have the knowledge of what we're supposed to do, or the knowledge of Mashiach, right? And somebody that is not fully in belief and faith. This is hard. I know that's hard to even hear that. What you mean, brother? I believe. But I didn't tell you to be holy and acceptable to him. We asking, can we please the Most High? 12:1 again.
Romans chapter 12, verse 1. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of Elohim, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, Kodesh, and acceptable unto Elohim.
He said he wants you to make you yourself holy and acceptable to him, because Mashiach is the one who has to present you. He got to come get you to give you to the Father. He's the priest, right? Oh yeah, I'm gonna take that one. Oh no, that one leg broke. No, that's I'm gonna grab that one, right?
It's good too short.
Holy and acceptable, right? The only way it will be hard for you to be holy and acceptable is if you're not in that space where you're ready to be, right? But look at this next part of this verse. Make sure you holy and acceptable. Read.
Unto Elohim, which is your reasonable service.
One more time.
Which is your reasonable service.
What's reasonable?
Least you can do.
It's the least you can do. After everything that you've done for me, because the question was all this stuff we did bad to the Most High, all these times that we went against the Most High, all these times, can we be 100% pleasing to him? The answer is yes. Making your body a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable. He's not telling you to go and get on a stake and get stoned for him. He's not telling you to take beatings for him. He's not telling you to get a crown of thorns put on your head for him. He's not telling you to get flogged for him, your beard plucked out for him, spit on for him. He said, make your body a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable. I just need you to do what I said. Simple as that. That's the least you can do for me. He woke you up this morning. He allowed you to taste, hear, smell, think, walk, breathe, touch, love. Think about the stuff that he do for you on a daily. You don't think keeping his commandments is the least you can do for him? It's the least you can do. What I try to tell everybody, wake up every morning. Every morning is a new morning. If you can walk that day in perfection, walk that day without telling a lie, that day without tail bearing, backbiting, that day without breaking his, just one day. You've been perfect and made yourself holy and acceptable to him for one day. If you treat every day like it's your last day, you won't go outside of his perfection. But if you look at today like I still got 5 years, you'll think that you got time to make up. It's a process. If I tell you, hey, this need to be done on the 12th, and it's the 4th, you might not do it on the 4th. You might go and do it on the 11th. You might do it on the 12th at 7 in the morning, and you got to be to me at 9 a.m. Right? How many of y'all had papers when y'all was coming up and waited till the last minute? You do it right, you better stop. It's going to catch up to you. Practice make perfect. If you started then, you're going to keep. Right? This is your reasonable service, the least you can do. Right? Let's jump over to 2 Corinthians chapter 5. 2 Corinthians chapter 5. I'm almost finished. Verse 1.
2 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 1. For we know that if our earthly house of this tabernacle were dissolved, we have a building of Elohim, and a house not made with hands, eternal in the Shamayim.
You understand what he's saying right there?
You're talking about your life.
He said,
Right.
if this earthly house that we have dissolves and perishes, we know that we have a building, a house not made with hands, eternal in Shamayim. How many of y'all have that mindset?
Yeah.
Right? If this is going away, if I die today, I have a spot with him up there. That should be your thought process. But it can only be your thought process if you're pleasing him. If you're in a state right now where you're not pleasing the Most High and you're not doing those things that are conducive to salvation, your mindset about this particular verse right here is going to be a little bit different, because you're going to think, if I perished right now, I don't know if I'm going to be able to be there. The only way you change that thought process is if you change your actions. Get to know him a little bit more. Go into his book. Read about him. Understand his character. That way you can know how to please him. It's the same thing with your partner. We've been talking about this, right? You cannot go into a marriage and not know your partner and expect to have a good marriage. It's not going to work out. Because you don't know what pleases them. They don't know what pleases you. Only thing y'all know is when you come together physically, that's pleasing. But after that, what is it? Can't do that all day. Man, come on, man. Don't
Say agree for a little while to disappoint, come back together.
All right, what else? What else? Look,
Now, there we go.
speak you every man truth to his neighbor. You don't have to step if you want to. Okay, you got to go to work.
Okay, show you later.
Right? But you got to get to know him. In the book of Matthew, the Most High says that he values us. Right? If your husband or your wife came to you and said, I value you, I value your opinion, I value your life, I value your walk, would that mean something to you? The word value within itself is something that'll hold you, right? He said he values us. So we got to show our value to him, right? The least we can do. Verse 2.
Hold on a minute. Monica sent me a text in the stack.
That boy, tell him.
Do you value me?
Do you value me?
She distracted me.
You better tell me I'm valuable.
You never said you value me before.
You valuable. You're valuable.
That's right, Op. That's right. Let that be a lesson.
That's my leader.
Oh, the texting me.
Let's pick it up in verse 1 again.
2 Corinthians chapter 5.
Now, y'all women, don't forget to tell y'all husbands y'all value them too. Go ahead.
2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 1.
Go ahead.
For we know that if our earthly house of this tabernacle were dissolved, we have a building of Elohim and a house not made with hands, eternal in Shamayim. For in this we groan earnestly, desiring to be clothed upon with our house, which is from Shamayim.
We desire to have that heavenly body, so to speak, right? This is what we desire. But it comes with some work. If you're not at the point where you are sure that you're going to make it into Shamayim right now, that means that you're not pleasing him. Right? You're not pleasing him. You're not confident. You got to be confident. You're confident that you can do whatever you're good at right now, whatever you've been practicing at. You're confident if somebody gave you a task concerning that thing, that you're good. If you called me today and say, Trav, I need you to come over there and hook up my cable, I don't have a problem with thinking, bro, I'm about to hook you up. I'm confident in that because this is what I do.
Hook up.
Not the hook up.
Oh. Just checking.
Not the hook up. brothers trying to get a discount. We ain't doing that. Right? But the thing that you're good at, you know for a fact, without question, that you can do it. Right? That's the confidence you got to have dealing with the Most High. Keep reading.
If so, be that being clothed, we shall not be found naked.
He said, if we clothed, then we're not going to be found, what is it?
Naked.
We're not going to be ashamed. Revelation said these people are going to be naked and they're going to be ashamed because they ain't keeping the commandments. They ain't got the faith. Adam and Eve was found naked and ashamed because they wasn't keeping his commandments. They ain't had no faith. Read.
For we that are in this tabernacle do groan, being burdened, not for that we would be unclothed, but clothed upon, that mortality might be swallowed up of life.
That what now?
That mortality might be swallowed up of life.
You're talking about living forever. Anytime mortality is swallowed up in life, that's living forever, right? Read.
Now, he that have wrought us for the selfsame thing is Elohim, who also have given unto us the earnestness of spirit.
He gave us the earnest of Ruach, right? Read.
Therefore, we are always confident.
We are what?
Confident.
If you have the Ruach, then you're going to always be what? Confident. Don't worry about not being there right now. Because this lesson, this teaching ain't about you being there as we talk. Because if you're not there, that just means get there. Right? But how do you get there? Read.
Whilst we are at home in the body, we are absent from the master. For we walk by faith, not by sight. We are confident, I say, and willing rather to be absent from the body and to be present with the master.
Verse 9.
Wherefore we labor.
Wherefore we what?
Labor.
We what?
Labor.
What does labor mean?
Work.
Therefore we work. Because we absent from the Most High right now and present in the body, we work. That one day when we're absent from the body, that we'll be present with the Most High. We got to work. A part of that work is just reading. If I told you, hey, brother, I will give you $5 million if you read the Bible front to back in 1 month, would you do it? If I gave you a week to read the Bible front and back for $5 million, you would do it. But the consolation that he giving you don't have nothing to do with money. The consolation that he giving you, you can't see. So you ain't gonna do it. The consolation of eternal life ain't good enough for you to go in and read his word. It ain't good enough for you to know him, get to know him, understand his knowledge. Read.
We are confident, I say, and willing rather to be absent from the body and to be present with the master. Wherefore we labor that whether present or absent, we may be accepted of him.
Whether present or absent. Because right now we present in the body, right? That we may be what?
That we may be accepted of him.
That we may be pleasing to him. So even though you're not there yet, in the Shamayim, the only way that you can get there is if you accept it now. That's the only way. Don't allow your stuff you got going on in your life to hinder you being able to get and deal with the Most High. Don't allow a job, being tired, or don't allow this stuff to hinder you from having a relationship and knowing the Most High. He values you. Show your value back. He gave you a day of rest. And for some of you, you have 2 or 3. You can't use that downtime to get to know the person that wakes you up to breathe every day. We got to be able to look at that, right? We got to know him. We got to have his knowledge with him. Last couple scriptures, Proverbs 14:6. So, yeah. Proverbs 14:6.
Proverbs 14:6. A scorner seeketh wisdom.
A scorner do what?
Seeketh wisdom.
What's the wisdom?
Keep them in Torah.
What's the wisdom?
Keep them in Torah.
But this scorner, would that be the same thing?
That's earthly.
He talk about exactly the wisdom of this world, right? I just didn't want y'all to get that confused. Go ahead.
A scorner seeketh wisdom, and findeth it not.
And do what?
Findeth it not. But knowledge is easy unto him.
But knowledge is who?
Easy unto him that understandeth.
So he told you that his yoke is what? Easy. My burden is what? Light. It's easy. But only if you understand what that is. But if you lack understanding and you reject, if you lack knowledge and you reject knowledge, then he gonna do what? He gonna reject you, right? Isaiah 53. He said, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge, because they reject knowledge, and I will reject you.
I'm going to read this verse 7. Go from the presence of a foolish man.
Do what now?
Go from the presence of a foolish man.
Stay around them, because this is your congregation.
Go from the presence of a foolish man, when thou perceivest not in him the lips of knowledge.
When you don't see, I didn't even pick that up. It's Mashiach. Read that one more time. Proverbs 14:7.
Verse 7.
Yeah.
It says, go from the presence of a foolish man, when thou perceivest not in him the lips of knowledge.
The lips of who?
Knowledge.
What are you supposed to be preaching? Mashiach. If your pastor, elder, deacon, moray, friend, whatever, if they supposed to be preaching and teaching you, and they ain't preaching and teaching to you about Mashiach, you got to get up out of there, because ain't no life in it. You're going to perish. They perish for the lack of. So even if somebody is preaching them, but only preaching them one time out of a couple months, that means you got a lack of knowledge, right? You're going to perish still. They perish for a lack of knowledge, and because they reject knowledge. Let's see how he knowledge. Isaiah chapter 53. We get another one.
Take your time, preacher, man. Take your time.
53 and 1.
Isaiah chapter 53 and verse 1. Who have believed our report, and to whom is the arm of Yahuwah revealed? For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant, as a root out of a dry ground. He have no form, no comeliness. And when we shall see him, there was no beauty that we should desire him.
So if he looked good, if he looked like Solomon, how many people are flocked to him? Everybody. If he was shining and glistening and all this, how many people? You wouldn't even have to have people believe. They would believe already, because he looked like something. But he made him not comely or beautiful for a reason, because now you got to listen. Now it's going to be about whether you want the word or not. Not because you're following the man. Read.
There was no beauty that we should desire him.
And he is what?
He is despised.
And what?
And rejected of men.
They are my people are perished for the lack of knowledge. For they do what?
Reject.
He said he is despised and what?
Rejected of men.
Read.
A man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. And we hid as it were our faces from him.
He said that you're supposed to seek him early, but you hiding from him. Read.
He was despised, and we esteemed him not. Surely he hath borne our griefs and carried our sorrows. Yet we did esteem him stricken, smitten of Elohim, and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. All we like sheep have gone astray. We have turned everyone to his own way, and Yahuwah have laid on him the iniquity of us all.
He laid on him all of our iniquity because he seen value in you. Read.
He was oppressed and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. And he is brought as a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before her shears.
Verse 9.
And he made his grave with the wicked and with the rich in his death, because he had done no violence, neither was any deceit in his mouth.
Yet it what?
Yet it pleased Yahuwah to bruise him.
It pleased the Most High to bruise him. All he asked for you to do was keep his commandments and have faith in his son. To please Yahuwah, his son had to go and get bruised and killed. Keeping the commandments and having faith is your reasonable service. Go ahead.
Yet it pleased Yahuwah to bruise him. He hath put him to grief. When thou shalt make his soul an offering for sin, he shall see his seed. He shall see seed. He shall prolong his days, and the pleasure of Yahuwah shall prosper in his hand.
Verse 11.
He shall see the travails of his soul.
And what?
And shall be satisfied.
Because by his
knowledge shall my righteous servant justify many.
Whoa. By his knowledge, his servant is going to justify many. Read.
For he shall bear their iniquities. Therefore will I divide him a portion with the great, and he shall divide the spoil with the strong, because he hath poured out his soul unto death, and he was numbered with the transgressions, and he bare the sin of many, and made intercessions for their transgressions.
So we got to understand this knowledge that justified many was his servant who he was talking about this whole time. So if you don't understand, or you don't have the inclination of what knowledge is, who he is, if it's not getting preached to you, if you're rejecting it, if you're not going through and trying to figure this thing out, you're going to perish. Not just you, but your people that you got coming up with you. Go back to Hosea 4:6. And we'll close it off at that.
Hosea chapter 4, verse 6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject you, that thou shalt be no priest to me, seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God, or thy Elohim. I will also forget your children.
I will also do what?
Forget your children.
You look your babies in the face, and you get to the point where you can tell them, I don't feel it's important for me to go into this book and listen to the words of Mashiach and follow after Mashiach how I'm supposed to. And you'll be looking at your baby and you actually telling them, I don't mind if you die. I don't mind if the Most High kills you. I don't mind if you don't make it to the kingdom. Because you forgot him or you reject him, you rejecting your children, because he will. I didn't go to the couple verses that told you that if you deny the father, you deny him, he gonna deny you before his father. Or if you don't believe in him, you don't believe in the father. I didn't go to none of that because I think that's already understood. You know what I'm saying? But rejecting him is not just saying I don't believe in JC no more. I don't believe in that Messiah. That's not just saying that. Rejecting him is not accepting of his blood and repenting and correcting your ways. So understand why the people are actually perishing, why people won't see the kingdom. It's for that reason and that reason alone. With that, I say shalom.
Shalom. Love it. Hate it.
Right.
Don't do it no more. Bring it out again. Do a part 2. Questions, concerns, comments?
I got a question for you, Cole.
Hold on, you got to get the mic, brother.
Oh man, I think my voice louder. Yeah.
Get it, Mike.
My mic sound nice.
Brother, you're on the trial of Judah.
Hello? Okay. So, Cole, we was going over the prophets and how Yah appears to them. I remember in Jeremiah 1, verse 9, it said the word appeared and touched his mouth. Was that in a vision or was that right there?
He's there.
So, explain that to me. Based off Numbers 12 that comes to prophets in dreams and visions.
Go back to the Numbers 12.
Okay. So if he's there, is that face to face?
No, because you talk about Moses, you got to understand in the context. You talking about Moses, I speak to him in a different way. He let Moses actually see him in this form. So Moses is the only person that can say, I was there and Moses' face was shining.
Right.
No other prophet can say that. That's the difference. That's the big difference in this. Read that.
Numbers 12 and 6. And he said, well, you want me to read it, verse 5? And Yahuwah came down in the pillar of a cloud and stood in the door of the tabernacle.
So even right here, he's speaking to them, but he's in something. He's being like concealed. You know what I'm saying?
And called out Aaron and Miriam, and they both came forth. And he said, hear you now my words. If there be a prophet among you, I, Yahuwah, will make myself known unto him in a vision, and will speak unto him in a dream. My servant Moses is not so, who was faithful in all my house. Him will I speak mouth to mouth, even apparently, and not in dark speeches.
Not in what?
Dark speeches.
Not in dark speeches. So that the whole thing here is, even though he's talking to Miriam and Aaron right here, he's still concealed. He like in this darkness being hid from them. You know what I'm saying? But Moses is the one that he was actually there with. And he says, stand over there by the rock. And when I do this, and I'm going to see you. And then when Moses came down, his face was shining. So it's just like when he appeared to Abraham and them. It was in a form, but it wasn't in the form like he was when Moses was talking to them. You know what I'm saying? That's the difference.
And like he said, when he came to these other ones, dark speeches, this and that, and you know what I'm saying? Like the cedars of Lebanon, like this and like that. Moses, he made it plain. You know, Moses, I'm just about to kill all of them, make a great nation out of you. Moses, I'm about to do this, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they go hand in hand. Any other questions in here? We ain't got no quarters, man.
I'll reread.
Even though he said that stop following my word out to you, won't just read the last time. If I'm the wife and following, that's for me and husband, right? Am I making sense?
If you following,
Because my husband is rejected.
Go ahead.
And he ain't got to listen to all this, but because I am fine.
Re-say the question now so we can.
So the question is, if her husband is rejected, but she's following, is her children and her family covered because she's believing and following?
Yes.
Because they hear. They get it.
Remember, he says the believer sanctifies the unbeliever. He got to stand on his own bottom. Every tub got to stand on his own bottom. But you're covering your family with your belief. Any other question here? Huh? Yeah, it says the believing sanctifies the unbelieving. what I'm saying? Hold on, let me get it right quick. First Corinthians chapter 7, verse 13. And the woman which hath an husband that believed not, and if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him. For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Else were your children unclean, and now they are kadesh. Make sense? Good. All right. Yeah.
So, question number 1. I'm not familiar with the Hebrew names for the Most High and His Son that you use. Can you go over them and why it's important to use them versus God/Jesus?
That's a question for B. For you.
So you can't answer that question?
The Hebrew guy.
You can answer that
I
question?
mean, I could, but it's, you got the mic.
You got the camera.
All right, reread the question.
So I'm not familiar with the Hebrew names for the Most High and His Son that you use. Can you go over them and why it's important to use them versus God/Jesus?
Exodus chapter 23. So the Most High's name is Yahuwah. Of the Tetragrammaton, as people call it, the Yo, the Hey, the Wa, and the Hey, which is pronounced Yahuwah. You'll see other people say Yahweh, Yahweh, Yahweh. Yahweh. I don't know where that one comes from, but you'll see a bunch of people say it. We call on the name of Yahuwah based on the Hebrew characters and their pronunciation together. The name of Mashiach is derived from Yahushua, which is Yah is salvation. So you'll see some people say Yahusha, you'll see people say Yeshua, you'll see people say Yahawashah, you'll see people say Yeshaya, you'll see people say, and I leave any out, right? Yasha. Some people say Yasha.
I've seen Yahweh.
Yahawashua.
No, Ahayashah.
Ahayashah? No. Oh, well, okay. You got some people who say Ahayashah,
Yehoshua, Yeshua.
Yeshua, Yahusha. You'll see all those names. You know what I'm saying? But this is one of the reasons why. For one, before we even get into the scriptures, one, it's a respect thing, right? So if the Most High and His Son have names, you're supposed to use their names. We're going to get into it. B, I want you to get Psalm 68:4. When we dealing with the names of other deities, like God is a deity. That's an actual name of a deity. They put it in the scriptures, but that's the actual name of a deity. I think it was
Godriel or something like that.
No, it's in Isaiah.
Isaiah.
That truth.
Yeah, so it's an actual God. God is an actual God. The name Jesus is not His name.
The letter J wasn't invented.
Indeed, the letter J wasn't invented for a long time. You got a bunch of history where people will bring up about the letter J. I mean, not the letter J, the name Jesus. More importantly, when you look at reverence or respect to the Most High and to His Son, it will be to call them by their name. If your name is Jimmy or Tommy, you want me to call you Jimmy or Tommy. You don't want me to call you April. You don't want me to call you Jesse. I mean, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But it's a respect thing. Psalm 68 and 4.
Book of Psalms, chapter 68 and 4. Sing to Elohim. Sing to Elohim. Sing praises to his name.
It says, sing praises to his name, right? When you praise him, you got to use his name, right? Read.
Raise up a highway for him who rides through the deserts by his name, Yah.
It said you got to do this by his name, right? So if you're going to follow this command that he's giving you right here, because this is a command, you got to do it based on how he wants you to do it. So you do it using his actual name, right? Same thing with Mashiach. Go ahead.
The other Isaiah 65 and 11.
Isaiah 65:11.
So in Isaiah 65 and 11, you'll see it say in the KJV, it'll say truth. But in the Hallelujah and in the Hebrew, it says, but you are those who forsake Yahuwah, who forget my Kodesh mountain, who prepare a table for God, and who fill a drink offering for many. So those are two different deities worshipped by the nations.
Yep. Exodus chapter 23. Pick it up at verse. Hold on 1 second. 1 sec. Hold on. Be circumspect. Not to mention. It's 12. It's 12. 23:12. That's not it.
No, I think it might be 32 and 12.
Hold on.
I thought it was 32. Nope, there you go. It's 13, 23 and 13.
23:13. Exodus 23:13. 23:13.
Exodus chapter 23, verse 13. And in all things that I have said unto you, be circumspect.
What does it mean to be circumspect? What does it mean to be circumspect, y'all? Mindful. Take heed, right? Read.
And make no mentions of the names of other gods.
Make no mention of the names of other gods. Remember, he told you he was a jealous El, right? So he don't want you to be calling him somebody else. Neither do his son, right? So it's proper to use their names. It's a respect thing. You know what I'm saying? Just in a nutshell.
Acts 26.
Acts chapter 26. What was it, verse 6? 15. Acts chapter 26, verse 14.
Want me to read it for you?
Yeah, you go ahead.
Acts chapter 26.
Big boy voice.
Acts chapter 26 and verse 14. And when we were all fallen to the earth, I heard a voice speaking unto me and saying in the Hebrew tongue, Shaul, Shaul, why persecutest you me? It is hard for you to kick against the pricks. And I said, who are you, master? And he said, I am Yahusha, who you persecute. Right there it says Jesus, of course, but knowing that J is nowhere found in the Hebrew text, that would have to be another word there that he was saying in the Hebrew tongue. It would be Yahusha or Yahushua.
Oh. All right, B, what's the next question?
So I don't think this is as much a question as a statement. It says, Hebrews are saying we should all set differences aside when it comes to doctrine and just accept each other's beliefs. Makes no sense to me. How can we be one if we don't agree? I think that was around the time you agreed to the Genesis 11 with Sarah Baby.
Oh, right. That's true. They want you to put doctrine aside, but you got to understand, doctrine is of Yahuwah. So you can't put the truth aside to get with flesh, a man. It absolutely makes no sense to, we're going to put away Mashiach just to come together when he's the reason we're here. Makes no sense.
I'll restate the question.
Here, restate it.
No. What? Go ahead. Ask me. Proverbs 30, verse 4.
Yeah, what's his son's name? You can know it. Proverbs chapter 30 at verse 4. Who hath ascended up into Shamaim, or descended? Who hath gathered the wind in his fist? Who hath bound the waters in a garment? Who hath established all the ends of the earth? What is his name, and what is his son's name? If you can tell. That's another one. Another. But yeah, the name is definitely important.
I don't know if you made this statement when you was teaching, but there's a question that says, can you clarify anything outside of faith is sin? Did you state that?
Yeah, go to Romans 14. Romans 14, I want to say the last verse, or the verse before the last. Anything outside of faith is sin. Yes, I did say that.
That's the verse.
Last verse.
Romans chapter 14, verse 23. But he who doubts, if he eats, is condemned, because it is not of belief, and all that is not belief is sin.
All that is not belief or faith is sin. So what is faith? Get the Hebrews 11 done. Faith does not come by itself. Faith comes with what?
Hearing.
Faith comes by hearing, but with what?
Works.
Works.
You gotta hope. He who believes and take heed to the commandment.
11:1.
Hebrews chapter 11 and verse 1. And belief is the substance of that of what is expected, the proof of what is not seen. Hold on a minute, hallelujah. Hold on. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. For by it the elders obtained a good report. Through faith we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of Elohim, so that the things which are seen were not made of the things which do appear.
So we understand that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. In Romans 14:23, he said anything that's done outside of faith is what?
Sin.
Sin. Faith, according to James, has to come with works. So if you say that you have faith and no works, then it's not really faith. If you say you have works and have no faith, then it's not really faith. Faith comes with the works. So if you don't do the works that are according to the faith, then you are committing sin.
Because you're breaking the law.
When you don't keep the commandments, you're showing that you don't believe.
When you read, do you mean don't verse pluck, or are you saying don't just listen to others read for yourself and then come with questions about what you read?
Read that one more time.
It says, when you read, do you mean don't verse pluck, or are you saying Don't just listen to others, read for yourself, and then come with questions about what you read.
Definitely don't verse word. You definitely gonna mess up with that. Come on, so listen. What you were saying earlier.
Had to be something that you mentioned about studying the reading or something.
Yeah. When you studying, when you reading the scriptures, you have to read them to get understanding. You don't read them to get to try to put together something deep. You got to understand the concepts in the scriptures first. Then you can go ahead and study. But again, when the scripture says, study to show. Go get that joint real quick. Let's study to show yourself approved. It's gonna get a lot of feathers ruffled. So everybody always use study yourself to be approved. Study yourself to be approved, right? Y'all hear this all the time. What's the end of that? What's the end of that particular verse?
A workman.
For a workman, rightly dividing the word of truth, right? Go ahead.
2 Timothy 2:15.
This is what I mean when I say that. Read to get understanding. If the Most High is putting it on you, or if you have the understanding of the knowledge of the scriptures to teach it, so be it. But don't just go into there trying to find the deep stuff, the verse plucking. Like the Ockers talk, the verse plucking. But this is one reason why. When people say that they study, he said, much study is weariness of the flesh. But the studying, remember, reading to understand, reading for comprehension is one thing. The studying is something totally different. Do that make sense? Okay, go ahead.
Study to show thyself approved.
That's where everybody stops. Study to show yourself approved unto Elohim, brother. Right? Read.
A workman.
A who?
A workman.
A workman is what?
That
needeth not be ashamed. Who is the workman? The person that's teaching. Read it one more time.
Study to show thyself approved unto Elohim, a workman that needeth not be ashamed.
Doing what?
Rightly dividing the word of truth.
This is for a person that is teaching the scriptures. This is who goes in and studies the scriptures. If you're not doing that, your job is to read and understand. He says, seek you out of the book of the Most High and do what? Read. He don't tell you to study. The concept of study is different from what people perceive it to be. You read to get understanding. You read to get the knowledge, right? But this in its context says, study to show yourself approved, a workman not to be ashamed. A workman is a person that's giving you the word. But if they're giving you the word and they haven't studied what they taught you, then they can be made ashamed.
Talking about oil spills and whatnot.
Make sense? Keep reading.
Study to show yourself approved unto Elohim, a workman that needeth not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. But shun profane and vain babblings, for they will increase unto more ungodliness. And their word will eat as do a canker, of whom is that word and him.
Hold on.
Philetus, Hymenius,
Where's that joint?
canker of whom Hymenius in Philetus.
So it's both. Don't verse pluck the labor.
Luke 10:7.
Don't verse pluck. And also, when somebody teach you something, you have to go back to the scriptures to see whether those things that they said are so. That's the people of Berea said, right? it said that they searched the scriptures to see whether those things that Paul said was it was correct. So that's your job, right?
Is Mashiach's kingdom the earth and the Most High's kingdom Shamayim?
The kingdom is coming to earth. The kingdom is coming down to earth. It's New Jerusalem. It says, and I saw Jerusalem come down. That's the kingdom.
He gives everything back to the Father.
I believe that you clarified this already, but it says, how come you believe that the Most High is our Elohim and only the Messiah is? I'm sorry, the Most High is not our Elohim and only the Messiah is.
I think we kind of went
You did clarify that, but
you got some more.
so this might have been, this was asked at 4 o'clock. So I don't think they got this unless you didn't clarify. But I do remember it.
But let's go into some other stuff. Get 1 Corinthians chapter 11. Pick it up at verse 1. Straight line, take a line. Huh?
I guess we was talking about the names. Yeah, Howard show too.
What we doing right here?
1 Corinthians 11, verse 1.
First Corinthians 11 and 1. Be ye followers of me, even as I so am of Mashiach. Now I praise you, brethren, that you remember me in all things and keep the ordinance as I delivered them to you. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Mashiach, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Mashiach is Elohim.
So who governs over or who heads man is Mashiach. Right? And he who governs over Mashiach is the Most High. Right? It's this one joint. Hold on. Let's get another one to make it plain.
Like about 2 more.
Okay.
Deuteronomy 32:9.
Is that what it is?
It's a good one.
Go ahead and read it up.
Deuteronomy. No, you grab it.
Okay. Deuteronomy chapter 32.
Grab verse 7.
Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 7. Remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations. Ask your father, and he will show you, your elders, and they will tell you. When the Most High divided the nations, their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel.
So he separated the number, he separated the sons of Adam, and he said he set the bounds according to the number of the children of Israel. Go ahead.
For Yahuwah's portion is his people.
So the children of Israel were Mashiach's portion, his actual portion, his people. He is our Elohim, given to us by the Father.
Jacob is the lot of his inheritance.
Of what?
Of his inheritance.
So in order for the Most High couldn't have an inheritance because he's the Father.
He can't inherit.
Yeah, we was inherited by the Son or given to the Son by the Father. The children of Israel were. I think that's good enough.
All right, we'll do one more.
More.
Exodus chapter 34, verse 9.
Exodus chapter 34 and verse 9.
So just like you said, the Most High owns everything. He can't get an inheritance. Nobody can give him anything. Read.
And he said,
If now I have found grace in your sight, O Yahuwah, let my master, or let my Yahuwah, I pray you, go among us. For it is a stiff-necked people, and pardon our iniquity and our sins, and take us for your inheritance.
See that? So again, the Most High is everything is his. He can't inherit nothing, but the Son can inherit something, and we are his portion or his people, his inheritance.
Okay. A lot of great lessons. How do you explain to Black Christians the importance of us knowing who we are in conjunction with the salvation through Yahushua? They think it's about race and shunning.
Black Christians?
They're not the white ones, huh? It's the black ones.
People ask that question.
I actually had an exchange with a sister.
It don't matter what color.
With a
Bust
sister.
this one down?
Well,
Go ahead.
it's because it's so much, man. It's so much. I mean, you have to. The whole thing is you have to use the scriptures. You have to use the scriptures to show them that it's not about race, because we are all allowed salvation, but at the same time, there's still a people that was chosen to bring blessings to the other nations of the earth. Just like it's people, a portion of people who was chosen to deliver a word, like they'll tell you in church, you got to be called, right? You got to be called. If you ain't even called, then you ain't supposed to be delivering the word. But when you got a whole nation of people that was called to present the word, it's just as important as if there's a man that's important, called to deliver the word. So I mean, the whole thing is you got to build with them to get them to be able to see. You can't it can't become a scripture fight. It can't become a scripture fight. It can't be a back and forth. You got to build, then get them to be able to, reason. Like the scriptures say, let us reason together. The Most High said, let us reason together. So if we can't sit down and reason together, then you're fighting a lost cause anyway. But once you begin to reason with somebody and you're able to show them in the scriptures, because now they're receiving it. You feel me? So it takes quite a bit. They ain't gonna get it. It's gonna be very few that get it from your Facebook posts. It ain't gonna be a whole lot that's gonna get it from the scripture fight, because people don't read anyway. You put 1,000,000 scriptures up, they ain't gonna read 5 of them.
I would say along with what Ak is saying, like, the bottom line is if we preaching Mashiach to them initially, that's something that they will cleave to, because that's something that they already believe. So once they believe what Mashiach told them to do and how he told them to do it, and they accept him for who he is, now they will be more susceptible to accept the fact that the people of the book did not look like Macaulay Culkin. But you got to deliver to them the gospel first. Like, they got to actually hear, because you got to meet them where they at. That's what Paul did. Paul met people where they were at. I'm not going to bring nothing to you completely outside of your realm for you to just all off and reject it. I'm going to deal with you according to knowledge, according to wisdom. So now when I come to you, if our common ground is the belief in Mashiach, if I can get you to believe in him and show you that it's different than what they taught you about him, now you're more open to hear about who these people are. But if you bring that to them first, just off the rip, it's only a select few of people that's going to be like, oh yeah, that's the people. You know what I'm saying? You got to kind of meet them where they at with the gospel first. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, gospel first. That's the way.
So it says, I think this is based on the answer that we gave about the unbelieving husband and the believing wife. It says, so would a Buddhist and a Hebrew be well to get together?
No. Do not be unequally. Listen, if you already with somebody that is not in line with the scriptures, that's when that applies. If you're married to somebody that's not in line with the scriptures,
that applies then. But don't be in the walk right now and go and get with somebody that's not of the faith, because you would then be unequally yoked.
Is Lord a word to avoid, since it's tied to Baal? If so, what other term could a wife use who desires to use a similar title for her husband?
Well, you gotta look. When you look at Baal, ain't it the joint where it says they shall no more call me Baal, but Baali?
Yeah, but
like it's a negative connotation put on.
Baal, but originally Baal was not a deity. Baal became a deity. The people deified the title Baal into a deity, right?
Yeah.
But yes, Lord, because it's pagan, in origin. So if you desire to call your husband Lord, Master is sufficient. King or something of that nature. Y'all think this you think this is a fake account?
Don't worry about it.
Oh man.
But like you said, they deified the word Baal. They actually made Baal a god. You know what I'm saying? Before it wasn't used as a term for a deity, but now that it is, to me it's just like how cooking a goat is not wrong. Seeing goats in the scriptures are not wrong, but they have turned the goat head into a symbol of the Baphomet. You know what I'm saying? So what wasn't intended for evil, they turned and made it evil. That don't make the goat bad. You know what I'm saying? So
you don't want to be a goat in the head.
So if you want to use a different term, my aunt said using the term king, master,
Adonai,
that's close to it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Can women teach the Bible? Explain. And if women are to cover their heads during prayer and prophecy, when and where can they prophesy? My question was skipped earlier. Sorry. So it wasn't skipped intentionally.
Didn't that lady pull Apollos to the side and teach him further on how to teach the word? Apollos teach.
All right, let's get it. Ezekiel 34, 31.
Did you not? You didn't want to get to that point.
Ezekiel 34, 31. We're going to hit a couple things.
Hey, can y'all keep it down till we finish back there? Excuse me, everybody in the back. Can y'all keep it down until we get done, y'all? Thank you.
34 and 31.
Oh, have mercy.
So we have to look at. We got to look at this stuff in context, man. All right. So, can a woman teach the Bible? Let's see what's up.
Ezekiel chapter 34, verse 31. Mm-hmm. And you, my flock, the flock of my pastor.
So it says, my flock, the flock of my pastor is talking about what is a flock normally led by? A shepherd. A shepherd in the scriptures is also called a what? A pastor. A leader. Read.
Are men.
The leaders of my people are men. Right? The shepherds of my people are men. Jump over to that 1 Timothy 2. Pick it up. 1 Timothy chapter 2. Pick it up at verse 9. No, 10.
1 Tim chapter 2, verse 10. But which becometh women professing godliness with good works. Let the woman learn in silence.
So it said, let her learn in silence, right? Speaking to these people, right? Read.
Let the woman learn in silence with all subjection. But I suffer not a woman to teach.
He said, but I suffer not a woman to teach. Read.
Nor to usurp authority over the man.
Nor to usurp what?
Authority over the man.
So if a woman starts to usurp authority over men, then she becomes the what of the flock? A shepherd, a leader, a pastor, right? These spots are held for men, right? Now, the Bible does say a woman can teach, but it tells her what to teach. Let's get Titus. Actually, is it 3 and 1? Hold on, let me see. This question goes just like how it will for men. We gotta look at every man ain't supposed to teach. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of women that get tight when brothers say, yo, you know what I'm saying, you ain't supposed to be trying to lead no congregation, you ain't supposed to be trying to teach no congregation, this, that, and the third. You know what I'm saying? Imputing knowledge on somebody is something different. Hey, brother, this says this. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing. But hey, y'all open y'all Bibles. Come on, we getting ready to go into, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's something totally different. So, but the scriptures do tell a woman what they're supposed to teach. Now, I didn't write this stuff. I'm just giving it to you.
I don't give it to him, bro.
Titus 2.
You ain't got to apologize for the scriptures.
Titus 2. Chapter 1. Chapter 2, verse 1.
Titus chapter 2 and verse 1.
Yes.
But speak thou the things which become sound doctrine.
This is key number 1. He says, speak things that become of sound doctrine. Doctrine is from who? Most High, right? Belongs to him. Read.
That the aged men be sober, grave, temperate, sound in faith, in charity, and in patience. The aged woman likewise, that they be in behavior as becoming codestness, not that false accusers, not in giving too much wine, teachers of good things.
Teachers of what?
Teachers of good things.
See, you can teach good things. But what are those good things? Read.
That they may teach the young women
to be what?
To be sober, to love their husbands, and to love their children, to be discreet, chaste, keepers at home, good, obedience to their own husbands, that the word of Elohim be not blasphemed.
This is still something important that you are supposed to teach. This is a part of the reason why the black community is failing right now, because we don't have the aged women to teach the younger how to be a woman, how to be a wife. Same thing with the aged man. You know what I'm saying? This is very important. It says that they're supposed to teach these young women this stuff, that the word of the Most High be not blasphemed. What does the word of the Most High say about a wife? He that finds a wife finds a what?
Good thing.
Now, if that man finds a wife and she's not a good thing, then that would make the word of the Most High what? Because these women ain't teaching what they're supposed to be teaching. They would rather be up here teaching like how I'm teaching, like how he teach, like B teach, like, you know what I'm saying? As opposed to teaching who you're supposed to teach and what you're supposed to teach to them, right? Can you use the scriptures to teach a woman that she's supposed to be a good wife? Absolutely. That's your job. That's the problem with these communities now, even in the Israelite community. We don't have those the elder sisters in the congregation to impute these things onto the younger so they can be the type of women that the Most High would want them to be. So, to answer your question, can a woman teach? Yes. But there's context that needs to be added to that. So hopefully that make it plain.
I think that was the last question.
That was the last one.
Let me just double check.
Everybody clear on that? Like, is that's cool? Numbers 27, 16.
That's it. Oh, man, sister just coming. Yeah, but, like, the only thing that scuffed her team is when the brothers use that when they when they say something and then you show and the woman show them a scripture that's proved them to be wrong.
Oh.
Well, you ain't supposed to be teaching them.
And like the brother put up there, the Most High definitely sets a man over a congregation. That's the same thing we was going into with all the rest of that stuff. So, like I say, a woman can't teach in its context, in her context, just like a man should only teach what he knows. Everybody not sent to be teachers. Everybody not sent to be preachers. So all men can't run that game either. You know what I'm saying?
Who shall teach knowledge?
Who shall teach knowledge? Him that is drawn from the breast, weaned from the milk, or weaned from the breast. Y'all get it. All right. With that, we say,
Announcement.
We got the dates, y'all. We got the dates.
Just so everybody is in the know, and especially everybody on the stream that's been asking. I know I've been slow rolling with this because I was trying to get a digital copy out, but just to put it out there. Turn the camera on.
Hey, what's up? I don't want the
So the couple announcements. Firstly, the feast day that's upcoming, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, Pesach, Feast of Unleavened Bread. Pesach is April 19th, 6th day, April 19th. First day of Unleavened Bread, which is a high Shabbat, is on the Shabbat, April the 20th. And it goes all the way through until April the 26th. So I think can we all be in agreement that we want to plan to meet every day like we have been the last couple of years? Yes, we're good. Everybody good with that? Yeah. Okay.
Bro, you said April 19th to 26th?
Yeah, that's what it said.
I don't see that.
I want to say 14th.
Yeah.
No, the 14th is the 14th day of the.
You do your thing. I'm just gonna stay in my lane.
Hey, you taught a good lesson, man.
You do your thing, God. I'm just gonna chill.
Okay, so
I'm still high, man. You do your thing.
Yeah, so Pesach, April the 19th would be the 14th day of the first month.
Yes, sir.
All the way up until April the 26th, which will be the 21st day of the first month.
So Google is correct.
So yeah. April 20th to April 20th, the days you would need off.
20th and 26th. 20th and 26th. 20th and 26th.
Hopefully you already take off on the 20th.
Also, the announcement about the gathering this summer is going to be August the. Give me 1 second. What is it? This August the 16th through August the 16th through August the 18th. More details to come about what events we're gonna be doing and the hotel. And the hotel we're gonna be staying in, and the cost. There's a cost for the adults. The children are free. The adults, there's a cost just to be able to provide food for everyone. So we're not making money, but we want to make sure we got food to eat and that kind of thing. Is that it? Was there anything else? Say again. Did anybody else say anything? Okay. 16th, 17th, 18th for August.
Make sure
that weekend. So everybody is invited. If you watch the live stream on the regular, come through, break bread with us. We always have a good time. It's always an excellent time. So everybody is invited. There will be links with, how you can register and that. If you would just like to contribute, anything like as far as donation, we do have PayPal, chosen.seed1@gmail.com. So if you'd like to make donation or any type of contribution at all, we will accept that. So I think that's it. Let's go ahead and pray out.
Hold on, what's the prayer?
Somebody put. It's a gathering. It's just an event that we throw where we invite everybody out. We have regular service, but it's something every day. So it's going to be an event on Friday, like a meet and greet. Hebrews come from other states, other cities, or whatever.
All around
they
the country.
don't normally fellowship with us. They come from everywhere. People come from everywhere, and we fellowship. And then we have service. Then we have like a barbecue every year. So it's just a whole weekend event where people from everywhere. We're hosting it. Yeah. So if you want to volunteer to help out do anything, you're more than welcome to volunteer to help do anything. Not sure what events exactly we're gonna have. Last year we did Family Feud, we had fish fry, we had barbecue.
I said for basketball,
like a concert. We had service. We went on the street, cast out material, and street preach down at the festival. So it's a bunch of stuff that we don't normally do, And then everybody's invited.
It's like when we went out of town. We just went out of town for the brew out. It's gonna be the same thing. But we have it at home.
So do anybody play?
If
there's anybody here that plays an instrument, anybody here play an instrument? Anything?
Tambourine.
The triangle. Anybody play the triangle? If anybody plays an instrument,
no tambourine player.
You want to get the
no male tambourine.
No male tambourine. We want to invite you out for praise and worship. Praise and worship service was awesome today. I gotta admit, excellent.
Praise and worship is beautiful.
Y'all willing? We can be consistent with that and do that every week. Man, that'd be great. Praise the Most High for the brothers that lend their time and their talent for the benefit of the congregation to lead us in the praise and worship. We appreciate that for sure.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Okay, guys, put your hands down. Let's pray out. Yeah, my eye got about to see on the mic. I couldn't help it.
Put some motion.
I want to be on this fire. I want to be on this fire. But I'm going to wait till the Yeah. So that's the argument.
There you go.
Y'all gonna get that fire, y'all.
There you go.
Today.
Chosen City music coming soon.
Right. All right, all minds clear. Father God, we thank you for the word that went forth, Father. We pray and ask, Father, that you would just continue to allow knowledge and understanding to increase, Father. Continue to give us the desire to seek after your understanding. Seek first the kingdom, Father, and all the things will be added unto us, Father. Not be attached to those things that are material, but actually set our treasures in Shamayim, Father, where you have laid up for us, Father. Father, we pray and ask that you would just continue to press upon us, Father, to be a follower of your Son, Father, to pour in us, Father, your Ruach, Father, and allow your word to proceed out of the mouth of your people, Father, to wake up those who may be in darkness and call them out of the darkness into your marvelous light, Father, and allow you to provide the increase, Father, and water those seeds, Father, that have been planted. Father, we pray and ask, Father, that you would just continue to help us be diligent in our studies, Father. Help us to be diligent in our relationships, Father, with brothers, sisters, husbands, wives, children, parents, fathers, that we would continue, Father, to just grow and unify, Father, and that we would continue to dwell together in according to your will, Father. Father, all these things we pray and we give thanks. So be it.
So be it.
Abinu Shabbat Shemayim.
Abinu Shabbat Shemayim.
Ikadosh.
Ikadosh.
Shenka.
Shenka.
Tabo.
Tabo.
Makuka.
Lakuka.
Yeah, I say.
Yeah, I say.
Ratsonka.
Ratsonka.
Barex.
Barex.
Kashir.
Kashir.
Nasha.
Nasha.
Bashamayim.
Bashamayim.
Tain Lanu.
Tain Lanu.
Hayom.
Hayom.
The king.
The king.
Ikani.
Ikani.
Uslat.
Uslat.
Lanu.
Lanu.
Eight.
Eight.
Ashmatenu.
Ashmatenu.
Kashir.
Kashir.
Suki.
Suki.
Anaknu.
Anaknu.
Lashir.
Lashir.
Ashmu.
Ashmu.
Lanu.
Lanu.
Wa'al.
Wa'al.
Tabinu.
Tabinu.
Lede.
Lede.
Masa.
Masa.
Ki.
Ki.
E. Hasalanu.
Hasalanu.
Min.
Min.
Para.
Para.
Ki.
Ki.
Laka.
Laka.
Hamamlaka.
Hamamlaka.
Wahagi Bora.
Wahagi Bora.
Wahati Parade.
Wahati Parade.
Lome.
Lome.
Ulami.
Ulami.
So be it.
So be it.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
So that Matthew 16.
The joint with the when the king came and asked him, what must I do to get in right? Why you asking? You know why you asking? Why you asking? Everything about him. And he told him, keep the commandments. And he told him, why keep the commandments? And he said, hold on, I want to get to it. But basically he said,